Did you know that 90% of the issues that you have with your chickens can be solved very simply? Today I'll be talking about 10 of the most common issues that people have with their chickens and showing you the answers to those problems that you may have. Before we begin, we are trying to reach 4,000 subscribers before November, and I think I could do it with your help. So if you are already subscribed, I'd recommend you move your finger or cursor about 2 to 3 inches below the video and click that subscribe button. But without any further ado, let's begin. This one is a very complicated one to talk about, and it's also very controversial, so listen closely. Chickens are not going to lay eggs every single day. In fact, it is normal for chickens to skip multiple days, especially if your chickens are older than 3 years old, or it is very cold out. Now, chickens need at least 14 to 15 hours of sunlight every single day, so when it's very cold, you need to take advantage of the whole day. So I'd recommend investing in an automatic chicken coop door, which will let your chickens out at sunrise and will automatically close at sunset. Most of them cost around $60 to $120, so see which one you like the most, and if it's cold, you can just add a light into the chicken coop, which is highly unconventional, but if you have to do it, then you have to do it. There may be other issues causing this, so listen closely for the next couple parts. I've owned a total of 135 unique chickens, and out of them, only 36 are alive. Out of the 99 we lost, 94% of them were due to predator issues. Now, if you want to learn how to deal with many different types of predators, click the video in the card above, because explaining this would take way too much time to do. Dirty eggs can happen for a variety of different reasons. Obviously, the chicken coop isn't the cleanest place on the planet, so it's pretty much a guarantee that some of your eggs are going to be dirty. Now, you can eat the dirty eggs, but if you decide you want to clean them, then you must put them in the fridge. Now, when you're cleaning the eggs, you should be very cautious when scrubbing them, because your eggs may be very fragile sometimes. Speaking of that, fragile eggs are very common, and there is one key reason behind chicken eggs looking like this, and it's known as a calcium deficit. Now, thankfully, this is a very easy fix, and the answer is to feed them oyster shells. It's a very good source of calcium for them, and they actually seem to enjoy eating them. Now, do be mindful that these results may take a couple of weeks, but so does everything else with chickens. Chickens eating eggs is nothing new, however it isn't normal behavior by any means, but it does have a solution, and the solution is in the nesting boxes. If you look at a standard nest box for chickens, you'll see an opening where a chicken can poke his little head in and take an egg. Now, our farm flock doesn't usually eat the eggs, but to ensure they won't, we have these nesting boxes where the chickens can't access the eggs. The area where the chickens sit down to lay an egg is slightly sloped, so when the chicken leaves the box, the egg will roll into a compartment that you can open later. But sometimes, you may mistake chickens eating eggs for chickens eating shell-less eggs, which are eggs laid without a shell. That's normal behavior, and you can prevent shell-less eggs by adding oyster shells into their diet. Now, chickens lose feathers all the time, and most of the time it's not a cause for concern. But if you note your chickens are losing feathers in the month of August through November, then they're likely going through a molt, which happens when the chicken is around 16 months old. It happens every fall after that, but if you notice feathers are being shed everywhere for no apparent reason, then you might be fighting for something going on in the coop. There is something known as the pecking order, which is a hierarchical system for the chickens, and the chickens oftentimes fight over their position. Most hens fall in the middle of the order, but the lower ones are usually picked on by the higher-ups of the system. So chickens do have a form of government, and it is very precarious. So chickens will fight to overthrow the leader of the flock, unless it's like Mrs. Peepers, who was the greatest leader of my old flock of chickens. Bumblefoot is one of the most common diseases that a chicken can catch. Now, in general, the disease has a 90% survival rate if it's caught early. So whenever you see a chicken limping, check and see if they have a mass on his or her foot. You'll need to soak it in an antiseptic solution a few times a week, and ask a vet to surgically remove the mass. However, if the infection spreads to the chicken's bones, then it is game over for that chicken. My duck named What the Duck survived Bumblefoot twice, but sadly my chicken Sprinkles died in May of 2022 due to this disease. So just so you know, it isn't contagious, and is usually caused by muddy conditions in the yard. What the Duck got Bumblefoot after he got a soaking 8 inches of rain in a few hours, which flooded my yard. So always make sure your yard is as clean as humanly possible. Making sure that your coop is ready for the winter is key. Unless you live in Florida, then you don't have to worry about this. But if you're like me and live up north, then snowstorms and cold air do happen and can cause frostbite on your chicken's comb if they're exposed to it for too long. Now first, you want to make sure that your coop is properly ventilated, as ventilation is key to making your chicken coop smell nice and maintaining temperature as well. Adding layers is optional, but is also optimal for your chicken coop's performance in the winter. Check for cracks in the siding of the coop or gaps where cold air could possibly be getting in. Back in the February 2023 cold blast, we had a temperature of negative 19 degrees here in the Northeast, and my chicken coop never dipped below 45 degrees once. My other chicken coop was only 33 degrees at the worst part of that night. So keeping your chickens warm is everything, and you don't need a heat lamp in the chicken coop unless there are young chickens under the age of 15 weeks there. Before you get yourself some chickens, it is best to consider these 3 questions. How big is my space? Is question 1. Question 2, how big will my chicken coop be? And question 3, how many chickens can I possibly maintain? Now that you've answered these questions, go watch the video that's linked in the card above, right in the top right corner, as it answers this question in full. Feeding chickens is a simple task and usually can be done once a day, either in the morning when they're let out, or in the evening when they're being put away. Obviously, you can have a bigger feeder which doesn't need to be refilled as often as the others, but if you want to find out more about chickens, then click the video on the center of the screen right now, and I will see you guys there. Bye everybody, and see you guys on Monday.